Everybody, on my daughter Emerson's advice, she's in 5th grade, I'm going to try to make these videos a little shorter so I don't bore you to death by them. But this video is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to sort of walk you through this whole article explaining the reading to you. That's your job. You're going to do that by the quiz. You've got a Flipgrid that's going to ask you to think about it. And you've got some homework questions about it that will be due in week 3. So between those 3 things, you should actually come to really understand that article really well. What I want to do, and it's going to sound completely patronizing, I apologize, is I'm literally going to talk for a few minutes about reading and how to read well. It sounds almost idiotic, but I've noticed that successful students actually kind of have a sense of how to make sure that they're reading to understand things, and students that sometimes struggle they read but they don't necessarily have understood anything, and they come in just assuming a teacher's going to explain everything to them. This course isn't necessarily going to work that way, so you've really got to make sure you read in a way that's going to help you. So I just want to give you a few tips. This will apply to this course but also a lot of your other courses. So again, bear with me. I know some of this might sound really childish, but believe me, it helps. So the thing I want to talk to you about is actually what I would call pre-reading. And the idea of pre-reading is that you want to sort of give yourself a tour of what you're reading before you get into it. And that way, if you already kind of know the basics of what the reading's about, you're going to understand the details more. Right? So here are some things that you want to do. The first thing, and it sounds idiotic again, is you literally want to read the title. Why morality is not relative. I'm going to tell you right now, one of the quiz questions is, does Rachel's think morality is relative or not? And this can be confusing if you just start reading the article, because the first thing he does is he talks about relativism. So it sounds like he's like, yay, relativism. But if you read the title, you know he's going to be saying, no, I'm opposed to that, right? Second thing you always want to do, this thing right here is called an abstract. It gives you an overview of what the article is about. I think a lot of students just skip this. This is essential because it's going to give you the very, very basics about what you're going to be looking for, right? So James Rachels analyzes the structure of ethical relativism. He calls it cultural relativism, to show that the claims made by its proponents, those in favor of it, go beyond what the facts or arguments can establish. He contends that the central argument, the cultural differences argument, is invalid, and it talks about why. So it's going to outline his basic argument. So you want to look that over. The other thing you always want to do is, before you even start reading, just go through the subheadings, right? Oh, okay, the abstract mentioned the cultural differences argument. This must be where he talks about that. Another thing he's going to do as a reason to reject relativism is that he's going to talk about some consequences of taking cultural relativism seriously. Notice that they're even numbered and they're italicized, so there's other things to focus in on. This is, by the way, if you're ever sort of late finishing a reading, this is also a way to cheat your way through reading quickly by just focusing on the subtitles and the numbered things and the italicized things. But you will lose a lot if you do that, so don't do that. But if you're ever in a jam, there you go. He's got a section about why there is less disagreement than it seems. This is something you're going to want to pay attention to. Again, he's going to talk about how all cultures have some values in common. These are things that you're going to be asked about in the quiz and in the homework. Then we get, how do we judge a cultural practice to be undesirable? He's going to start with an example. He's going to ask the question, is there a culture-neutral standard of right and wrong? Is there a way that we can discuss and evaluate a practice other than saying, well, it's just what we do in our culture? Then he's got another section. Why are some people nevertheless still reluctant to criticize other cultures? You'll notice that both the quiz and the homework are going to sort of tick through these sections, and they follow the chronology here. Finally, even though he's against relativism, he is going to say there's a couple of good lessons we can learn from it, and so that's the final section. So if you do that as an overview before you read, you're going to be way more successful. The other thing I want to talk to you about is just get the homework questions out, get the quiz questions out, print them out, have them on the side, write them out, however you want to do it. But what you want to do is have those out before you read, because they're going to help you think about what to look for. Don't read, you have no idea what you're focusing on and what you're not, and then all the quiz questions and homework questions surprise you, and then you go back, okay? The final thing I want to tell you is that underlining is useless. It's even harder when you've got, electronic, right? But what you almost have to do if you want to understand something is you have to take some notes. And I would encourage you to take a couple of kinds of notes. I would encourage you to write down words that you don't understand and look them up, especially if you think it impacts your ability to understand the larger piece. Sometimes you just like, whatever, I don't understand that word, but I get kind of the basic idea of what's happening, no big deal. But also try to write sort of mini summaries of each of the sections. If you see a numbered point, right, write that down. If you just underline or you do some other way of noting that something was important, it's all it shows you is you thought it was important once. It doesn't help you explain it. I like to do this because I teach, but what I try to do is basically produce for myself a 1 to 2 page walkthrough of a whole piece of writing once I'm done with it. So I take notes and then I go from those notes to sort of a 1 to 2 page summary. If you get in that habit, you'll be a master of anything you read. I don't think you need to go that far, but it is something to think about. So just wanted to leave you this video because I think it's not just about learning content, it's also about learning some skills, and I want to help you guys see some skills as transferable beyond this course. And so trust me, those tips are going to help you in any course where you're reading some, basic nonfiction, information, argument-based text. All right, I hope it helps, and look forward to seeing your work on this.